Hi, and welcome to the IEEE Computer Society CS show. I'm Brian Brannon. We're over here at the Star West Test Conference at the Disneyland Hotel. We've got some great interviews lined up for you. Right now, Steve Woods is over on the expo floor. Over to you, Steve.
Testing is an integral part of software development. It's finally coming out of the basement and into the limelight, as you can see here at Star West. What do you think of the show so far?
My organization is moving from like waterfall style methodology into agile on certain projects, and it's just been a little bit interesting. I came all this way just because I was trying to figure out if there were other people in the industry that was having the same kinds of issues and things that I was having. So when I got here, I realized, yeah, it's not just me.
Now over to Dale Strzok, who's talking to James Whittaker of Google.
Hi, James.
Apparently I stirred things up by here.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. I think people are now afraid they may not be having a job soon.
I think that people need to be made to think, particularly on the opening keynote of a conference, right? They've got the entire conference now to think about this. But I told them some things, and I warned them in advance, this is going to be uncomfortable. But they need to think about this. Testing has not been the reason that software has gotten higher quality over the last decade or so. Automatic updates, automatic recovery of an application when it crashes, right? These are technologies, and I went through 6. These are technologies that have really made the difference. They've really raised the bar on software quality in general. Testing is not one of the top 10.
So what are you telling your testers? You have a bunch of testers at Google. Are you telling them they're going to not have a job soon?
I am telling them that they need to figure out how to raise the bar on quality, right? It's not good enough just to find some bugs, fix some bugs. You really need to be a partner in quality. Look, the bottom line is the users only care about the app. They want an application that's fun, that's exciting, that they want to use. So the challenge is to be involved in that. Don't just sit on the sidelines and tidy up around the people who are building the product. Become part of the product. So one of my suggestions is that test needs to be a feature. The software that you write that allows the developers to test their code, that's a feature, right? So quality is a feature, and we manage it like a feature, and it's code that other developers utilize to write tests. So it's not code that will see the light of day in terms of being shipped to users, but it's code that will make all the other code better. So testing is a feature, and from that perspective, testing is a job of a software developer, not a software tester. Now at Google, all of our testers can code, so they might not have a testing hat on anymore, but they certainly have jobs.
So a lot of people over here are talking about James Whittaker's keynote speech, but Steve found some people that are actually talking about James himself.
What's it like working for James?
It's a lot like having a lot of good ideas and sharing them with a friend, and then about 4 months later, and they argue with you, right? 4 months later, he has those same ideas, and then tells you to go do them, and then he comes to Star West and talks about them.
What's your position at Google?
I'm a software engineer in test, and I'm the primary developer of a product we have called Google Test Analytics, which is one of the tools Dr. Whittaker got to present today as his own.
Thanks, Steve. Over to you, Dale.
What do you think the audience today got from your talk about technologies and methodologies that they might be able to use?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. I spent a lot of time today talking about one of the test frameworks that we have, which is called F-Test. And essentially, it's a test framework that runs inside of the application. It runs in the same JVM as the application. So I think that approach is still rare in the industry, or not as common as it should be. So I think a lot of people can learn from that and use that technique in whatever they're testing today.
I'm here with ferocity. What do you think of the conference, Feroz?
Very interesting. We live in our own different worlds and in our own small worlds in our company. So it's nice to hear what's going on outside the world in a in a bigger environment with different companies, different speakers coming in. So I think it's very interesting. You learn a lot of stuff and a lot of new tools. So interesting.
I'm here with Julian Hardy, tester at large at eBay, and I just came from a talk with Julian. Hi.
Hi. So accessibility and testability turn out to be very close cousins, because both need to interpret the contents of a web page and work out what the web page represents. So if we're looking at accessibility, we're dealing with screen readers, for instance, that have to say, this is a search box and this is a search button, rather than just saying edit box and button. So by labeling them appropriately, say with IDs, the screen reader gets hints and is able to read out this information. Similarly for test automation, it's got to be able to work out which elements to interact with and how to click on them. If we haven't thought about adding appropriate tags to make the testability easy, such as unique IDs identify the search box and the search button, then it's very hard to write automation, and the people who write the automation tests can spend days trying to find workarounds to interact with the website, and typically these workarounds are brittle and become fragile and break as the next release comes out.
Cloud computing is still a big buzzword throughout the industry, so testing in the cloud has become very important. Steve Woods is over with Tim Kelso of Wipro.
Tell me how an early adopter would take advantage of testing services on a cloud.
Well, I think the first thing that we need to define is what is a successful effort on testing on the cloud. So the typical success factors, Gartner and other folks that talk about testing on the cloud, is that first of all, it needs to be kind of a service that can be easily enabled. It's an easy interface to use, so you can request, tear down your cloud services very, very quickly. That's the first thing. The second thing is that it's elastic and it's expandable. So you have people that can come in, you have resources that come in, you have environments and components that you can ask on demand, and it'd be flexible to mix and match what that environment would include. It needs to be something that is internet based, obviously. And then the last part of it is it needs to be kind of the metered usage. It can't be just like a seat license like some of the tool vendors use right now. It really needs to be metered usage. So one of the key concepts there would be you pay for testing as it's executed, as it's completed.
As IEEE software readers know, software as a service and cloud-based solutions are gaining popularity, but that doesn't mean it's right for every enterprise.
I'm here with Clint Sprov, Director of Product Marketing for Micro Focus. Clint, tell us about your talk today.
Sure. Well, my topic today was quality in the cloud, the cost and realities. And one of the reasons I was very passionate about this topic is because a lot of companies, they think that if they can just take their application or at least use software as a service, they're going to instantly save money. So what I wanted to do was talk about doing a cost-benefit analysis in terms of understanding what is necessary in order to really utilize cloud services and make sure that you won't overspend. So really understanding what are the true costs so that you can properly budget for your organization. So one of the ways that you would do cost benefit analysis, one example of that is you really need to look at your infrastructure costs and your software costs in terms of each discipline within your organization. For example, if you're looking at requirements management, is that a good option for a software as a service solution? And in terms of the number of users. And if you're looking at performance testing, how large of a performance test do you need to do? Is it several thousands of users? Is it hundreds of thousands of users? And when you look at that in terms of how much would that cost if I bought the solution from a vendor and had it on premise versus in the cloud, how often am I doing that? Because again, it's on demand. And when someone's kind of taking the burden off of your shoulders to actually host that solution, it's going to cost you a little bit more in some instances. So you really need to look at how often are you going to use this service and if it's truly going to save your organization money for the amount of testing that you need to do.
All right, it's been a great day here at Star West. Talked to a lot of great people, had some real good interviews. Thank you for watching the CS show. Tune in next time. See you real soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.